There is one new community confirmed case of COVID-19 in Victoria reported in yesterday's numbers. This case is linked to the current Southbank complex outbreak. This case is a household contact of a known positive case and takes the number associated with that sub-branch of the current outbreak in that location to 12. This person was a primary close contact and has been in quarantine throughout their infectious period, hence no further public exposure sites and no further close contacts have been added from that particular arrangement. That brings to 146 primary close contacts associated with that Kings Park apartment complex in Southbank. And can I thank those people for the extraordinary efforts they've put in over the last 2 weeks nearly. They're now moving into their day 13 tests over the weekend, and they've shown extraordinary endurance, and I want to thank them directly for keeping themselves safe and doing their bit to keep all Victorians safe. All going well, that apartment will be progressively cleared starting Monday. Support on the ground has continued throughout those 14 days, those past 2 weeks, and that's been an extraordinary effort by everyone involved there. As the Chief Health Officer did confirm yesterday, the Delta variant of the virus has now made its way to Victoria from that super spreading event in West Hoxton, and we continue to put our arms around the 2 cases associated with that outbreak. We know that this Delta virus spreads fast, and we have moved, we hope, as fast as we possibly can to catch up with it and indeed get ahead of it. The interviews with the 2 cases linked to the New South Wales outbreak have allowed us to identify a number of exposure sites, all of which we talked about yesterday, and all of which you will find on the coronavirus.vic.gov.au website for exposure sites. That includes the Jetstar flight, the public transport trips, and a number of retail stores. We did add Forest Hill Chase Shopping Centre level 1 and 2 only on Tuesday the 22nd of June between 11:50am and 1:30pm to the exposure site list yesterday, based on the very helpful interview that the gentleman concerned had provided us with. If you have been to that site or any of the other listed sites on the days and times published, please come forward. You must come forward and you must get tested. This is the critical time in running down this New South Wales seeded Delta into Victoria. We need people to come forward if you've been in contact with any of those places and to get tested quickly and to stay isolated until you get your negative return. We also know that this is a very important time to protect Victoria's border with New South Wales. And we will continue to strengthen that border based on public health advice and in the leadership of Victoria Police in that regard. The message is simple. Don't come from New South Wales red zone to Victoria. And for Victorians, do not visit those red zones in New South Wales. Victoria Police has continued to ramp up its Operation Sentinel on our borders with New South Wales, with highly visible, mobile and increased numbers of Victoria Police operating 24/7. And as we've seen when Operation Sentinel managed the interface between rural and rural Victoria and metropolitan Melbourne, a much more effective policing model that landed a lot of people in surprise locations with offences. Victoria Police have put more than 260 additional police officers now on those roving patrols and at pop-up checkpoints. There are also spot checks and automatic number plate recognition technology in place. If you run the risk of coming through the land borders from those red zones, you run the risk of substantial fines and being turned around, if not worse. Those fines can be $5,000 on the spot, and we need to make sure that we do everything that is necessary to keep Victorians safe. We will enforce those border restrictions for the safety of every Victorian and to make sure that we keep the Delta virus north of the river.